conversation for this morning as we find out more about the third annual WED Leadhership Conference. We have with us on set Dr. Danalyn Myvett, who is the WED ambassador for Belize. And we also have the featured speaker for this year's conference, Chief Executive Officer of WED, Patria-Kaye. Good morning and welcome.
Great to be here.
Thank you for being here, and definitely interesting conversation that we'll be having. And I want to start off by just finding out a bit more of the history of this particular conference. And just in case anybody thought I got the pronunciation wrong, it is Leadhership,
correct? Leadhership.
All right, because it is a women's focused conference.
Exactly so. The conference really started out of in association with Women Entrepreneurship Day organization, which started in 2014 in Washington. And the thrust of it is to look at women empowerment in business as a way of alleviating poverty and uplifting women, and recognizing that we can have a very tangible role in growing our economy and in moving our country and the region as a Caribbean.
Now, we are in the midst of Global Entrepreneurship Month, and this day specifically is to take a look at women in leadership in their own businesses. And what has been the response since you started this conference 3 years ago?
We move it from the perspective that this is a movement. Our credo is Women Entrepreneurship Day is every day, but the conference is a signature event that is used to just highlight and bring us together in a very networking atmosphere where we look to bring the experience and the established together so that we can connect. In our busy lives, we don't usually do that. And it is important for entrepreneurs and business people to recognize that growing your business is quite intertwined with growing your network. And so networking must be a conscious part of how you move through your entrepreneurial space. Additionally, it just allows for so much collaboration. For instance, in the instance of Patria being here, I mean, it's just so fantastic.
You know, it's really interesting that she talks about this lonely journey of entrepreneurship. We get so caught up in running the business that we don't take the time to reach out and touch somebody else. And this lonely entrepreneurship journey can be a lot more fulfilling, can be a lot more productive if we reach out and touch with other female entrepreneurs. So you don't have to struggle through things alone. You don't have to brainstorm through all the issues by yourself, because there are other female entrepreneurs in your country, in your region, that are going through similar issues, who have the same kind of challenges, that you can bounce ideas off and all of you grow together.
So Patria, tell us a bit about your experience as a you know, because you mentioned something, and it's always been one of the concerns I've had. And you know, anytime we speak about women's leadership or empowerment, I don't fail to say it. You know, we can be hard on each other, and not only as women, but also if you think of it in a competing environment. You know, entrepreneurships hold on to all their information like it's top secret. They're fearful of copycats. They're fearful of sabotage. They're fearful of being misguided. So tell us a bit about your own experience.
We were talking last night, and I said, you know, one of the worst bosses I've ever had was a woman. And it taught me two things. It taught me I need to get out of job. This is dodge. This is not the job I need to be in. But it also taught me about the kind of boss that I want to be. It taught me about the kind of work environment that I want to create. So I have a candy company in Jamaica. I have the only candy company in Jamaica. And yes, called Sweetie. I came out of a really great corporate environment. I had responsibility for 18 markets and really great corporate job. And my goddaughter asked me what a blue raspberry was. And I'm thinking, why is this child asking me this question? I bought her candy, and that was the flavor. We don't eat raspberries where I come from, and raspberries do not come in bloom. And it was that kind of simple question that made me quit my corporate job and chase this thing called entrepreneurship. I knew nothing about candy making. I'm coming from a marketing background where I spend money. Now I'm trying to make money.
Spend your own and make.
Exactly. And so it was a complete change of mindset. The last 3 years has been very eye-opening. But a lot of my path has been supported by some kick-butt women who've done there, who's done it. They've been there, they've failed, and they've succeeded, and they've been willing to share.
Yeah.
They've been willing to share about their own journeys, so that I don't have to go through all the struggles and learn from my own mistakes. I can learn from theirs. So that kind of welcoming environment where people were willing to share has been very helpful for my journey.
Yeah. Now, obviously, having Patria here is one of the opportunities that women have at the conference to be held tomorrow to hear of past experiences. Danalyn, how did this connection start, and how did you recruit the rest of your speakers who will be in the lineup?
The entire process through which we get to put together the conference each year is absolutely out of networking. Last year, one of our speakers on a panel was Julie Bradley. And she came to me afterwards, and we were talking about her segment and her experience, and she's like, this is fantastic. We were looking at some of the points that the women raised, and we immediately recognized marketing was one of them. And she said, I have network on the ground, so I can support you through that. And I said, wonderful. And so she connected me with Patria, and we connected from early this year, and we got schedule worked out very early, and she was like, yes, I'll be there to help support the process. And that is exactly how our panelists are selected, through networking. Even our moderators are selected through networking. So it's really about how we collaborate and move together to support the growth of the event.
And the theme this year, which I absolutely love, be bold. Tell us the story behind that.
The story behind that is so essential. One of the research points that has been brought out in the Caribbean in a World Bank program research work that was done is that confidence for women in the entrepreneurial space and women in business is really is in need of focus. And so when I saw that, and I'm looking at how do we serve for the 2017 year as a focus, I'm like, let's get together and let's dialogue this matter of being bold in business, being fearless, bringing yourself to the table in terms of anchoring who you are and having confidence in yourself, your product, and hence that was what brought Be Bold to the table.
How important is being bold?
For me, it's everything. There are far too often times when we as people, specifically we as women, we make excuses for our success. You kind of shy away from your success and you call it modesty.
Yeah. Oh, I stumbled into it.
There's this very humble, very modest, not stepping into and owning the successes that you have achieved. And it does a couple of things. There's so many people who watch you. There's so many people who you are an example for that you don't even realize. And the modesty doesn't do much to motivate that other person. Celebrate your success. You've been through a lot. This whole entrepreneurship journey is a struggle. Celebrate it. Because it also is part of how you will remind yourself when you have a bad day why you're in this. When you're bold and you step back and you say, I did that.
Yeah.
And celebrate that. The other thing is, as a region, one of the reasons, and I can only speak first and foremost from my own experience, I don't know what a blue raspberry is, but I know a mango. And I know every person who's come to my island or your island and they've had a mango and they love it. And it's no less than a raspberry. And so the things that make us special, the bold, big Caribbean things, are things that we have the ability to commercialize. Things that we have the ability to see an opportunity in, and we should exploit that opportunity. We should say, why am I buying blue raspberry candy from some country that I don't know anything about? Why am I not making and selling mango candy? And so it's that boldness that we naturally, intrinsically are, that I want women to see the potential in, not just in themselves, but who we are as a region.
Now, I imagine as well it fits in so great with one of the very necessary skills of an entrepreneur, which is risk-taking. And, I think some people are natural risk-takers in their life, and many of us are very calculated in the risks that you take. As an entrepreneur, was that an obstacle for you in terms of mitigating risks to be able to be successful but still survive?
It's very important for you to do the plan.
Yeah.
So you can't control all the variables, but control what you can. So I jumped out of corporate life into entrepreneurship, not knowing anything about the process, how it would be done, how it would be funded. I didn't know any of that. But I knew there was this burning inside of me to get it done. I say to women, do your plan. Be meticulous about doing the risk management. Where are those areas that could be an issue?
Yeah.
And what's going to be my plan to mitigate against those issues? But then jump. Don't let the fear of what could happen cripple you. You become very aware of what those issues are so that you can manage them. Because part of being an entrepreneur is managing what you can. It's managing your people, it's managing your business, but it's also managing risk. And recognizing that risk isn't gonna stop you from doing what you do. It's the opportunity for you to just do what you do better.
Yeah.
So there will always be risk in everything.
Yep.
But it shouldn't stop you. Plan and move.
Obviously, Patria is going to bring a wonderful dimension to the conference tomorrow. I think she speaks with such passion and from experience as well. Danalyn, tell us about who your target audience is for the conference to be held in Belize.
Our target audience are women entrepreneurs, and this year we did a bit of dovetailing into saying women in business as well, so that we could have provided a space to engage with women who have not themselves started a venture, but is now in that established brand sort of corporate setting where they are now managing a venture for someone else. And recognizing that we have never spoken about the fact that intrapreneurship is important. We believe that entrepreneurship, where someone gets out there and be innovative, is the only leg of the ecosystem and the entire business spectrum, which it's not, because after a brand has grown, and all of us who get into entrepreneurship want our brand to grow, and we get very established, we then have to professionalize and bring in more layers. And in that regard, we put in place a segment that looks at bold in the boardroom. So we're going to have dialogues about what are the challenges and what are the opportunities women have faced in terms of having to manage an established brand, and where you have to do intrapreneurship. How do you innovate inside an already established company? You
know, on that vein, I will say to women who are entrepreneurs and also who are managers, you know, you'll go to an event sometimes and you hear somebody getting a long service award, 35 years in the same job. I blame the female boss that you had. I don't celebrate you being 35 years in the same job, because there's a sensibility that as women that we must bring into the boardroom, that we must bring into leading people. You are responsible not just for your own growth, but for the growth of the people who look to you. And so 35 years long service award in the same job is not something to celebrate. You need to stop and look at yourself and say, have I done right by the people whose shoulders I stand on?
Yeah. Now, looking at your own experience, and I think it'll obviously broaden to the experience within the Caribbean, and specifically to women or as an entrepreneur, what are the challenges that you face that networking and mentorship has been able to get you through? Because the concept of mentorship, I think sometimes for people, you want to venture to be a mentor, you don't know how. You would love to have a mentor, but you don't know who. And so often that support system that you build outside of family, outside of who has already been established, how much does it help you through the growth of your business, the establishment of your business, and the obstacles in between?
You could throw $1 million at anybody. If they don't know how to spend it properly, they'll just waste $1 million. Yeah. And you don't know what you don't know. So as a mentee, the first thing is be very honest about what you know and what you don't. What your limitations are and where you want to grow. Because in the mentee-mentor relationship, you both have to know, especially the mentee though, what you want to get out of it. If you go and you sit there expecting that the mentor is going to guide the process blindly without guiding you in the direction that you need to go in to grow, it won't work. And I think networking doesn't work unless it's very purposeful. So if you're jumping in there just to meet somebody and take a business card and you've got this fat Rolodex of 1,000 cards, so what? What do you do with that? How do you extract a meaningful relationship out of that to be able to grow you and grow your business? And so the relationship really has to be managed carefully, and the mentors have to be selected carefully. So you start with knowing your limitations. I came into this business as an excellent marketer and a poor CEO. So I knew I could market my business. But don't ask me about numbers and finance and accounts and I don't know those things. So I needed a financial coach. I needed a mentor who understood numbers, because if I'm gonna run a business, I need to know if I'm making a profit. So I went out and I found a financial coach, a mentor who could help me with that, somebody who ran an accounting firm. You also want to choose a mentor who has the time for you. A casual 5-minute conversation, fleeting, isn't a relationship that's going to be fulfilling to the mentor who really wants to see their mentee grow, or to the mentee who really does want to learn. So you've got to really establish a relationship. The networking is the start of the relationship. It gives you an opportunity to feel out, does this person really have the tools to help me to grow? Do they have the knowledge? Do they have the experience? Do we get along? I had a mentor at one point who I was so in awe of him. I would lie about what was going on. I couldn't tell him honestly, flat out, where my issues were, because he was my holy grail, and I didn't want him to see me fail. So I actually had to do away with that. I had to get somebody who I was comfortable enough to bare my soul, to show my flaws, to let them know where it was that I needed the help. So it's not just taking a business card and going your merry way. It's a lot more than that.
I think that's great advice as people head into the conference tomorrow. Danalyn, tell us, what has been the experience since the first conference, now heading into the third? Have you seen a network start to build? Have you started to see connections be made since that first encounter of women in leadership or as entrepreneurs?
That's a fantastic question. When we started, we were all tentative in this, especially because at that point in the Caribbean overall, we were just being brought in with the movement having just started 1 year prior in 2014, and so 2015, when it went across the Caribbean, that was when we were all tentative, and a group of us, women from across the Caribbean that met in another circumstance, network, and we began supporting and giving each other advice as to how do we make this take root in the Caribbean. Here on the ground in Belize, initially we were tentative as to what it is. By our third year now, we have really blossomed into understanding how we want the event to serve the Belize market and the entire movement. But last year, for instance, another networking collaboration came to me, Miriam Deshiel, and she's like, I hear you're serving women in the women's space, and I really want to do that. And I'm not sure yet how I want to work it out. So we had a session together for about an hour and a half, and she's like, I really would want to meet with women every month and have some connection and see how from my actual capacity I can bring to serve. So last year we put in the Women Entrepreneurship Day 2016 a slot called We Organize. And for that, she went to the program, she went to the event, and she pitched what she wanted. We had a sign up desk, and 26 women signed up. They have now formed a sisterhood. And they meet, and every month together they're about, and that way their network is a more continued, sustaining, longer term relationship, how they're moving. So this year, sisterhood is turning out now at the event as a group of women.
Born out of the past conference.
Born out of the past conference. So these are the ways in which we are looking to get the movement be owned, because it cannot be carried by one person. The whole matter of women supporting women and building themselves in the entrepreneurial space has to be a network and a collaborative, and I feel a ground up movement. We have far too long waited for government to do everything for us. We sit and we wait for them to find the opportunities, to find the funding, to put in place everything. They have a role to play, but we ourselves must get active in moving ourselves, and we must commit and invest something. So this is such a wonderful way in which we are getting it unfolding.
And the ideal is to be able to have the connections and the network move beyond the one-day conference. And I know that you work very hard to put together the tools that will be essential for people to continue with this particular process. Tell us about the themes that you're hoping to cover in the conference.
The particular, everything is anchored in the Be Bold.
Okay.
So for instance, we are having a segment, well, of course, Patria will be dealing with this whole matter of your bold marketing and how you get out there and do all of that. We are going to deal with Brave Bold and Breaking Boundaries. And that particular panel discussion will bring together women who have explored non-traditional industries in Belize. I mean, we have Linda Thornton, who is managing director of Cardelli Farms Limited, that she started shrimp farming, which is really awesome, exporting that. We have Ruth Esquivel from Clear Call Belize, and that is business process outsourcing, which is a call center. We have Rebecca Sturm, and she has just got into the creative side of things and doing her own designing. We also will look at Bold in the Boardroom, and there we are talking to senior persons who have been in executive positions in Belize, such as Natalie Goff-Ewing from DFC. We're talking with Dean Molina, who is an attorney at law now, having himself moved out of corporate Belize. We are talking with Dr. Minerva Pinello. She was in energy field. Then we really introduced a new segment, Women in Business, Liquid Soft, Water Strong. And that segment is looking at how women have anchored themselves.
I love it. I love it. I love it.
We're really testing the water there in terms of opening the dialogue and the conversation about how you as a woman, how do you anchor, where do you draw your strength from? How have you used that in your role as a woman entrepreneur or a business leader? And make yourself be of value as you serve. So it's really an exciting day and filled with quite engaging conversations.
All right. And the conference still has space available?
We have a few slots still remaining open.
Okay.
So today is
And a few is a few.
And a few is a few, correct. So to get in, however, go online and register, book your ticket through leadherships.com.
Okay.
We are also with the total support of Belize Telemedia Limited. For this year, we are moving into live streaming. So we're really looking to be bold and test the market.
If people can't make it, they can tune in live on Facebook.
Correct.
So that's going to be great as well. That website, as you said, is Leadherships with an S.
Yes.
.com, and people can be able to get all the information there.
Yes.
What do you hope? Imagine a young woman who perhaps has a dream of opening her own business, stuck in a work environment, probably not very conducive to her growth. What do you hope they would be? If that person comes to your conference, what will they walk away with?
Well, I'm pretty sure there will be persons who will come to the conference from that outlook, because the connection we have made so far on women talking and really saying, how can I connect? What will it serve me? The entire matter is, as Patria had said much earlier, one is you come in a body, in an environment, in an energy where you get to see persons who have done it, who have been there, and you get to appreciate that I can make the venture out. So really to be inspired and to then connect with persons who may say, I am open to supporting you, and this is how I can connect with you. So it's a matter of setting that space where in the moment you're also encouraged to talk with people, connect with them, be bold enough to say, here I am, I want to do this. Where can I connect? If you can connect with me, or who you can connect me with. So it's just that entire day of being there among persons who would want to support your growth.
One of the things that I really want to get out of the conference on that same vein is making you feel good is wonderful.
Yeah.
So I can give you all the inspiration in the world and all the motivation in the world, and you feel good, and then what? A lot of what will also come out of the conference are practical tools. Actual things that you can do tomorrow and next week and next year to grow the business, to start the business. So it's not just going to be the talk shop. There will actually also be some very practical tools, free solutions, low-cost solutions. I don't have the money of a big corporate, but I want to start a business. How do I actually do that? We're going to talk about some of those things.
Now, my final question to you, Patria, has to do with what I consider to be one of the burning questions. Is it any different? I mean, are there specific skill sets that are required by a woman entrepreneur, or is it the same for any entrepreneur who would enter into business?
So there's a certain kind of grit far above and beyond any man that a female entrepreneur has to have. And especially a female entrepreneur who is committed to doing it all, to running her business and running a house and dealing with all of the other things that are peculiar to the life of a woman. It takes a lot of grit. Because it could be very easy to take the corporate job, climb up to only so high on that ladder and feel good. There is a stick-to-itiveness because there will be challenges. Every single day there are gonna be challenges that you will face in balancing this thing named life and this thing named business life. And you have to make a decision and you have to find a way to make a balance. But it's so worth it. I come from 3 years ago in my cushy corporate job, taking a salary that I needed a Brinks truck to take it home, to creating 17 jobs myself, to moving out of the office in my spare bedroom to 4,000 square feet of factory space. And I've done it in 3 years. And I've done it with tears, but so many more joys. So many more joys that I can sit here today and say, I don't want to be that bad female boss that I had 4 years ago. I want to be somebody who not only creates those 17 jobs, but creates 17 happy employees. And that's something that a woman can do better than anybody else.
Okay, well said. Well, this seems to be so much motivation as to why people want to go. What is the cost for the conference?
The standard rate is $75.
Okay.
We have two groups of incentives. 2 to 4 persons, it gets to be $60 a person, and 5 or more, it gets to be $50 a person.
All right, so get your girlfriends together and head out to the conference. It will be tomorrow at?
Registration starts at 8, and official ceremonies and opening of the conference and moving off is at 9.
Okay, and it'll be at the Biltmore?
Belize Biltmore Plaza, yes.
Okay, ladies, well, thank you so much for stopping in.
Thank you for
and
having
for
us.
giving us just a tidbit as to what you can expect tomorrow at the conference.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us here.
All right, we're going to go ahead and take a break. And when we come back, we're going to be talking to youth representatives who are here as a part of the World Youth Conference. So stay tuned.